Hi, everybody. You might be approaching the end of your financial year, and it's the perfect time to get your Sage 50 accounts in order. The year end process itself is simple. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned pro or if it's your first time, it's just a few steps in the wizard. But before you dive in, there are some important checks and housekeeping tasks that will just make everything run smoothly. Things like archiving your company data just keeps it organized and improves performance. We'll show you how to create an archive and why it's a good habit. Then there's backing up your data, which is essential before making any changes, and we'll share best practice just to ensure your backups are reliable. And avoid accidental postings into a closed period by setting a lock date. It's quick to do and it saves headaches later. We'll also guide you through the year end wizard as well, step by step, so you can complete the process with confidence. If you need to tidy up older unused records, we'll show you how to do that as well in our Delete Your Records webinar. And then we'll also cover how to clear the audit trail. It can help speed things up, and we'll explain when it's appropriate and how to do that safely. So to help you to prepare, we're hosting a series of live webinars throughout January and February. These sessions will give you practical tips and demonstrations so you feel confident about your year end and keep your accounts in great shape. Don't miss this opportunity to start the new year with clean, organised data and peace of mind. Make sure you reserve your spot today at sage.co.uk/webinars, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Hi everyone, it's that time again when you might be starting to think about your year end. The year end process itself is straightforward. It's a simple wizard that includes a few options. However, before this, there's the preparation stage, ensuring you've posted everything, and of course, it involves running reports. But do you understand your reports and also the opportunities that you have to develop them? Ensuring they're accurate, but also that they provide you with a correct level of detail. Throughout January and February, we're running a series of live webinars to help develop your knowledge and understanding of the management reports available in Sage 50 accounts. We'll be starting with the basics, understanding nominal records and the structure of the nominal ledger. This is also ideal if you need to create new nominal codes. Following on from this, we'll examine the chart of accounts, looking at all aspects, including adding new layouts and editing existing ones. Our attention then turns to the management reports themselves, the trial balance, the profit and loss, and of course the balance sheet. We'll explain how to run them, what they show, and most importantly, how the figures calculate. We want you to be confident. On the management report session, one of the most common scenarios we're asked about is where you haven't yet run your year end, but need to generate a profit and loss report for your next financial year. We've got your back with this and have a specific webinar that explores the options you have available, whether it's running reports for your new financial year or even a previous one. The last webinar in the series looks at reconciling your age debtors and age creditor reports at year end, ensuring that the balances agree with the figures on your trial balance and the balance sheet. Of course, this could be done at any time, such as part of your month-end process. So come along and we'll demonstrate what to check and how to run them to ensure everything agrees. If you'd like to attend any or all of these sessions to help develop your knowledge and boost your confidence, then simply head along to sage.co.uk/webinars and register for your free place. These, along with loads of other topics, including how to run your year end, are available. See you soon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome along to today's webinar. Today we're looking at almost part one of our management report series of sessions that we were just talking a little bit about on that video just a few moments ago. So we're looking at nominal records, so covering the basics, and it will continue to build, or we'll continue to build on that throughout the follow-up sessions as well. So also looking at chart of accounts, management reports, etc. And if you do attend all of them, hopefully you'll have a much better understanding and feel a lot more confident in those areas. Right, but today, normal records, should spend around about 45 minutes max looking at that. We'll quickly run through a little bit of housekeeping just before we get started. During the session, you don't need a microphone for it. If you've got one, you will find it's muted. You can't unmute yourself. So any questions, you'll need to pop them into the questions panel. Now, you may have a toolbar down the side. If you do, then to access the questions panel, you just click the little speech bubble icon. If you've joined the session via a browser today, so you might have the latest sort of what we term the user interface for the webinars. So if you've got that available, you will I think you'll have a link along the toolbar at the top. And of course, there is an opportunity to download a handout during today's session. But keep your questions coming. We're joined by Laura today. She'll be in the background to help assist me with those questions. We'll either read them out and come back to you, or maybe you just get a straight written answer. Now, this session is being recorded. As usual, we include a link to the recording on the follow-up email. That will be sent out to you around about an hour after we finish. The email will also include a link so you can register for our upcoming webinars. Now, as of this afternoon, we have published our March timetable. So there's loads of sessions to get booked onto in March if you are interested. So things like some unusual ones that we don't run very often. There are things like accruals and prepayments, fixed assets ledger, and looking at depreciation as well. We've got the month end in amongst that. So we're looking at the month. Laura will be taking you through the month end process, what that looks like, and also explaining, do you need to run it in the first place? So loads of sessions on there, including our March digital webinar series, which is going to be covering invoicing. So we're going to be following a few different topics on that theme. So get yourself signed up. That link will be on your follow-up email. The other link will be to our recordings page. So if you've missed any sessions or you need a bit of a recap on maybe something you've attended previously, do check out that page. There's about 100 or so recordings on there now. So plenty to go at if you're wanting to learn more about your software. Right, okay, so let's move on. I'll find the right slide for us. And we'll have a look at today's agenda. So we're going to start with a little bit of background. We'll touch on nominal code types, the nominal ledger structure, how you go about setting up a new nominal code, which if you give a code the wrong number, it can cause all sorts of not necessarily problems, but loads of issues that you might need to resolve by editing transactions or posting journals to move balances around because of reporting purposes. So it's a good idea, this session. From that, if you understand, if you do need to create a new nominal code, what number should you give it so it sits in the right area of your nominal ledger, but also how the grouping works. And that's something we're going to build on the likes of your profit and loss report, your balance sheet report, in the management report sessions themselves. We will spend a little bit of time looking at a nominal record. So giving you an idea of what's actually in there, just covering the basics of that as well. Not a lot to show you within a nominal record. And then just at the end, we'll be covering a little bit of the additional support. And if there are any outstanding questions, we'll hang around and answer as many as we can. But keep them coming, do engage with us, submit your comments and your questions, and we'll just try and pick those up as we're running through the session. So let's start with a little bit of background, first of all, to nominal codes. So obviously your nominal codes are held in the nominal codes module, or sometimes referred to as a ledger, in Sage 50 accounts. It holds all of your nominal codes in there, so they'll all be listed. Now, a nominal code, just to put it in simple terms, it's a way to categorize your transactions so they can be reported upon. So putting in maybe a simple example. Let's say you were doing your household budget as an example. You might have your bank statements. You might have a couple of different coloured highlighter pens, and you think, right, food shopping, I'll highlight in yellow, petrol or anything to do with travel, I'll highlight in blue, green will do entertainment. So the idea of that is you can easily identify it. So those colours would be almost equivalent of a nominal code. You're categorizing that transaction. So a nominal code must be assigned to every transaction when you enter one. Now, the nominal codes are organized. They're structured by what you would term the chart of accounts. Now, some of you may have been to that session just yesterday. We are repeating that session again next week. And there is a recording of that session available as well. So your chart of accounts provides the structure. It tells some reports in Sage which nominal codes to pick up, which ones to group together. So your common management reports, balance sheet, profit and loss, they're going to use that chart of accounts. So that structure when they generate, so it knows what to pick up, what to add together to give you the actual report. Now, when you go into the nominal codes window, there are a couple of views. There's Analyzer view, which is the default. We'll cover that one in a moment. I'll run you through a quick example. And there's also what we term the list view. Now, I would say from personal experience, probably about 99% of our users, if not slightly higher than that, the vast majority will use list view. It's by far and away the most popular. Makes it a little bit easier when you're using Sage, I think, to see that full list of nominal codes. Analyzer view, if we look at that in a second, it's going to use your chart of accounts. So you get a view similar to what you can see on that screenshot there. And if you want to get down to individual nominal code level, you need to drill through essentially the structure, the chart of accounts that's in use in the background. Now you can choose what to display, etc. when you are using. You can do a quick search as well. So probably one of the common issues if you're fairly new to Sage, and even myself after all this time, you'll know certain nominal codes that you'll use all of the time, like your bank account or maybe your sales tax control accounts, debtors control, that type of thing. But there'll be others that you use infrequently and you think, oh, I'm not sure what the number is for that one. So you do have a search option as well to help you find that. But let's have a quick look at the nominal codes window first of all. So I'll quickly go back and share my desktop. So you should be able to see that at that point. So we're just going to go into nominal codes. So you've got your nominal codes option down on the toolbar on the left there. Now, if you don't have that there, it's either it hasn't been shared with your username, but what I always like to mention is if it's hidden for whatever reason, so you've gone in, you've hidden it, you've switched it off to hide it, which you can do by essentially right-clicking on your navigation bar down the left-hand side. So if I just right-click on that navigation bar, it gives me a list of the ledgers or the modules that I've got access to, and it shows the ones that I can show or hide. So even though you might have access to fixed assets, for instance, if you're in the professional edition, you might not use that. So actually what you could do is just switch it off. It's still there in the background, but you just don't see it. So it's a way of decluttering your navigation bar. You can always right click and switch it back on. But if you can't see nominal codes, just right click and make sure it is ticked. It'd be a bit unusual to have that one switched off. So any others that you don't use though, and maybe you've got no intention of using, you can hide them and declutter that. Same for your normal toolbars when you're working in other screens. But anyway, if we go into nominal codes, and I've got my nominal code list here. Now I did mention by default the two views, and the default one is Analyzer. So when you go in, it might look like this. So you've got total sales, you've got a value, total purchases, got a value. And these are your key sections of your profit and loss and your balance sheet reports. Now you can of course drill down, so you can expand total sales, for instance. You'll see again, it starts using the chart of accounts. If If you're still not familiar with chart of accounts, you've never really touched it before, get yourself signed up for our webinar next week. So you can drill down, you've got product sales. If I expand product sales just by clicking on the plus, you'll see the nominal codes that are included under that description. Now you can choose different charts of accounts if you want. So I've got one that's here detailed. So when I choose that one, I've got a different chart of accounts in the background there, and I've got different descriptions. It's picking up different ranges of nominal codes. So that first one, if I expand it now, it's picking up one nominal code only, this one. So you've got a number of different options with regard to analyzer view, but it's not very well used, that one. Most people, and if you haven't discovered that yet, will probably switch to list view. Now in list view, as I mentioned as well, you've got options to filter. Again, not massively used in this area, but you've also got the search option. So if I'm looking for, let's see, depreciation. Have I typed it right? No. Helps if you can type. So if I'm looking for that, and you might be scrolling up or down your list trying to find that type of thing. So just type in a keyword, and then if I just click that little sort of apply search icon, looks like a little magnifying glass, it will list the records that I'm after. Hopefully I can easily find the one that I'm after. If I want to reset that, just click on the little bin icon to remove that quick search, and you'll be back to that default list. So that's the basics of the nominal codes list. I'm going to quickly go back to the slides. We'll pick up on our next option. So next we're going to look at, find the right slide here for you. So next we're going to look at the account types. So your nominal records themselves. There are 3 types available. And when you're using the software, it's not really going to make that much of a difference, this, but I wanted to explain it. So when you go into a nominal record, as well as showing the code, the name, the balance, you will also have a little box that says account type. And there are 3 potential account types that are going to be listed. So there's nominal account. So the majority of your nominal codes will be just flagged as nominal account. So I suppose it's what I would term, it's a standard nominal code, which is essentially it's not flagged as a bank account or it's not flagged as a control account. The second account type is bank account. Now, a bank account is just like any other nominal record, but it's one that is created or one that appears within the bank accounts list. So it still forms part of your nominal ledger, it would still be listed in your nominal codes list, but it's also what determines that it is listed within the bank accounts module. We'll be touching on that a little bit later if you need to set up a new one. And the final account type that you may see is control account. Now, there are some accounts or control accounts which I would I suppose describe as being a true control account, where it's used for automatic postings. Others will be flagged as a control account, but they're just flagged so that you've got one of those account types there. So they'll be used for certain postings. For instance, in the control accounts, which we'll have a look at next, there will be one called default bank, for instance, and you would specify the number against that. So it just means when you go into the bank accounts, it'll highlight that specific bank account for you. If you're always going in and it highlights 1200 and you want it to highlight another one because that's your most commonly used one, that's where you can go in to change the control accounts. That's what we're going to quickly look at next, control accounts. So you'll find your control accounts in your software by going to your settings menu and then scrolling or moving and clicking control accounts. So these can be used as a default. So default bank, for instance, default sales. So we've got one flagged as 4,000. A lot of these you'll be able to override them at some point though, when you entering transactions. Others are used as a control account for automatic postings. So for instance, if you were to enter a VATable invoice, the VAT on that would go against your VAT on sales nominal code, whatever you've got specified, so 2200 by default. The outstanding value, the full customer balance, would show against your debtors control account. So you'd see the gross value there. So it will refer to this list, and if you're wondering why some postings go to a certain nominal code, do check that list. It could be that you've changed them at some point. Some you will be able to change, others you won't if there are postings against it. I just want to quickly pick up on control accounts just before we get stuck into some demonstrations. And it's just, for example, if you do post a batch customer invoice, it could be any transaction, but I've used this as an example. So a batch customer invoice, as I mentioned earlier, you've got to specify a nominal code. Now, you might just let it pick up a default, whether that's from a product record or a customer record or supplier record or within the bank. You can have bank defaults as well on your settings menu. And that can determine which nominal code it picks up and defaults to when you access a certain screen. Generally, you'll be able to change that though. So if you did bring up the batch customer invoice screen and it picks up 4,000 as soon as you specify the customer, then you can always override that. You can change it if required. Now, if you were to enter a basic batch invoice and specify nominal 4,000, then the transactions behind the scenes and the nominal codes that are going to be impacted by that, first of all, the nominal code you've specified, the net value will appear against that specific nominal code on their activity. The VAT element, so £20 in this example, that would show against your sales tax control account. It will be posted automatically. You'll notice the sales tax control isn't listed in the control, on this screen. It just picks it up from the control accounts menu. You've also got your debtors control as well. So 1100. Again, it picks that up from the control accounts list, and it will show the gross value against that one. So just want to quickly show you that and maybe give you an example there of how control accounts are used in the background. Now, your nominal ledger list, and this is a good thing to be aware of. So the structure. This is where it's useful to understand if you're setting up new nominal records. So your nominal codes have a structure within Sage. So generally your fixed assets run from 0001 to 0999. So sort of the first 1,000 nominal codes, as it were. Current assets covers the 1,000 range. Current liabilities starts at 2,000 and runs up to 2299. And then your long-term liabilities nominal codes would be 2300 to 2999. Your cap run reserves is in the 3,000 range. Your sales nominal codes by default are covered in the 4,000 range, purchases in the 5,000, direct expenses 6,000, overheads 7,000, and include the 8,000 and 9,000 range as well. Now, in the middle of that, you've got one of the newer ranges that has been included, and it's for taxation. So by default, taxation, it's got one nominal code set up for that. You can set up additional ones if you need to, but by default, it would just be 9001, which is used. So if you need to set up a new nominal code, and you're thinking, right, well, it's a sales nominal code, so you would think, right, well, it needs to go in the 4,000 range. Now, by default, your nominal codes, the default list, it will be made up of 4-digit nominal codes. You can use up to 8, but consistency is the key. Now, if I was to set up, let's say I've got 4,000, and then I set up the nominal code, let's say 40,001. In fact, I'll quickly show you this and why I suppose why I'm trying to get across that consistency is the key. If you do a mixture of 4 digits, 5 digits, possibly more, I'm going to show you the way it sorts that. I'll quickly go back to my desktop and I'm going to create a nominal code. So I'm just going to quickly set one up. So we'll go, first of all, go down to the 4,000 range. So we can have a look at that one. So there's 4,000. Now, if I just go to new, and let's say I'm going to create a new nominal code. If I do 40,001, I'll just put my initials in there as well so you can see it. And I'm going to save that. Close. And the way it does that is it's almost like, rather than being strictly numerical, it does it almost like almost like an alphabetical basis. It looks at that first character. So in this case, all the 4s would be listed. So it doesn't tag this 40,001 on the end. It looks at the first character and says, right, numerically, based on the first character, this is the order. Then it goes to the second character, third character, fourth character, etc. Which would mean it goes 4,000, 40,001, then 4,001. So again, consistency with the number of characters for me is the key when you are setting up new nominal codes. Pop back to the slides. And just picking up that next bullet point as well. So nominal codes are grouped together for reporting purposes. So again, if you were setting up a new nominal code, again, ideally you want it to be, let's say it's sales, you want it to be in the 4,000 range so that it is then going to be picked up when you run your reports. Now, ranges, so let's say your sales range, it can be subcategorized, and this is where it uses the chart of accounts. So your chart of accounts will have a number of structures in there, or a number of ranges in there. So within sales, you're going to have a number of ranges. This is where it means you can group nominal codes together for reporting purposes. And again, it's something to be aware of when you are setting up new nominal codes. It's very important to consider your structure when you're adding those nominal codes so that they're picked up correctly. They support your grouping for reporting purposes. We're going to touch on the chart of accounts, etc. in a moment. So, Elena, you mentioned there that you've got some errors, etc. I would encourage you to come along to the chart of accounts session, and I will explain that in a lot more detail. I am going to be touching on that though. I'm going to be touching that on that next. So I want to pick up on the profit and loss first of all. So the profit and loss report generally is used to calculate the profitability of your business. It's got 5 sections on there. You have a sales section, purchaser section, direct expenses, overheads, and taxations. And within that, you're going to have these subcategories. So it determines what nominal codes are grouped together. So if you're adding in a new nominal code, where do you want it to be picked up? What do you want it to be grouped with, if anything? Now you can amend these nominal ranges, which you can see on that screenshot on the right-hand side. So if I wanted to set up a new nominal code, for instance, and I want it to be picked up in my sort of the product sales area, then looking at my chart of accounts currently, it means I've got to use a number somewhere in the range 4,000 to 4,099. So I set that up, and when I run my P&L, it'll pick that nominal code up correctly. Your balance sheet, well, that report, again, if you're not that familiar with it, we've got some webinars coming up on the management reports themselves. But the idea of the balance sheet is it's used to show how much your business is worth at a given point in time. So it'll include information about your fixed assets, your current liabilities, your long-term liabilities, and also your capital and reserves. But again, they can be subcategorized within this, so determined by the nominal ranges. So again, you can see on the right-hand side there, we've got our fixed assets section, and we've got a range that says property 0010 to 0019. So again, if you were maybe thinking, oh, I want to set up a new nominal code and I want it to be sort of fall into that fixed assets category of property, you need to give it an appropriate number. Your ranges can be amended if needed, but it's always based on a low and a high value. Again, if you're thinking, I haven't got a clue what Michael's talking about, chart of accounts, never touched it, come along to the webinar or watch the recording. Your chart of accounts itself just provides that structure. So those nominal ranges, it's telling you management reports, right? When you run it and you're using this chart of accounts, in the sales section, we've got that product sales, and I want you to add together the nominal code balances for this range of nominal codes. It's helping your software determine which nominal codes are profit and loss, which are balance sheet, because you don't specify that when you create a new nominal code. All you're doing is you're giving it a number. And that number helps determine where it sits within the chart of accounts, and therefore how it's going to be accounted for on your reports. Right, I did mention there we've got another webinar, so that's, I've got it on my slide there. So it's Wednesday next week, so be the 18th. Just making sure that is next week. Yeah, it is next week. The 45-minute webinar. We've been running that one for years, that chart of accounts webinar. So if you're not attended, please come along. You'll have a much better idea when you go where we always get really good feedback on that session. Linked in with today's session, you'll have a much better understanding of your nominal ledger. Right, we're going to start setting up some nominal codes in just a moment. Just before I do that, I want to quickly mention, you've got three options when it comes to setting up a new nominal code. One is clicking new. That opens a blank record for you to complete. So you can key in the number, description, etc., then save it. You've got a wizard, which gives you a step-by-step guide to creating a record. That'll help you determine what number you want to use. So it'll suggest that for you based around what sort of category you use. You've got a duplicate option, not available in Essentials, that one, but otherwise, if you're on Standard or Professional, you will have that duplicate option. This enables you to highlight a nominal code, you click duplicate, and it will create a new one based around what you've selected. Now, I think that's very rarely ever used in nominal, the nominal codes area, because it doesn't really save you any time, that one. Great for customers, product records, that type of thing, where you might just want to make subtle changes to the record, but for nominal codes, very unlikely that you're going to use. It doesn't copy any transactions or anything. All you're really going to have there are things like the name of the nominal code itself, which you will probably want to change anyway. Now I'm going to demonstrate creating new nominal codes. I'll show you the various options. I've got a note on there, which I'm also going to pick up on as well. So if you need to create a new bank account, ideally you want to do that within the bank accounts module, but it's quite common to create it within the nominal codes window and give it a bank account number. But I'm going to show you, we'll include that in the demos, what that looks like if you do that and what issue it can cause, but also how it's rectified. Right, let's get stuck into some demos then. So I'll share my screen again. We'll get started. There we go. Right, so first one to mention was new. If we click new, it brings up a blank record. So I can start typing. Obviously, as I do that, it brings up the list. Well, let's say I do, it's a product sales nominal code, and I'm just going to give it number, let's say we'll do 4010. Now, as I press the tab to move out of that field, it hasn't found that number, it's not in use, and therefore it just says new account. Now, if I did type a number that is in use, so just use 4000 as an example, as I press the tab key, you'll see what it does. It brings up the details of that existing record. So I'm just going to go back. I'm going to replace that. So 4010, press the tab key. It's still saying new account. So I can start typing a name in there. Call it product sales. I'll see if I could type. We'll pick on Laura today. So let's say we want a specific nominal code, and it's what Laura sells. Maybe that's how you want to analyze your sales. Again, it's up to you how you go about doing that. There's an opportunity to enter an opening balance. You've got a little icon attached to that. If there is, normally you'd only use that when you're first starting out on Sage. And you can see the account type at the moment is blank. But I'm going to save that. Now, if I call that account back up, you'll see it's picked up and it just says nominal account. We're going to come back to the record in a moment as to the information it shows. But that's how easy it is to set up a new nominal code via that new option. The other option is to use the wizard. Now, when I click wizard, the idea is it's a step-by-step guide. So I'll give it a description, whatever I want to call it. Pick on myself this time. And then we need to choose, right, what type of account is it? And this is where it starts using your chart of account structure. So I'm going to say it's a sales nominal. It then goes on to the, remember those nominal ranges from the chart of accounts? So these were the headings. Now, if I choose product sales, it's going to try and give me the next available number in that range, just so that that nominal code falls and is included correctly in the right way. I can still, if I want to, I can still overtype that. But it will suggest it so that it falls within that range. I'll click next. Obviously, you're prompted again. Is there an opening balance? I'm going to say no, there's not. And I'm going to create that. And again, both of those nominal codes are now on my list there. They're ready to use. So really quick to set up new nominal codes. You could even import nominal records if they're coming from, you know, you've set them up in the likes of Excel, for instance, the numbers and the descriptions. The only thing with importing is that it won't automatically allocate numbers. You've got to specify that in the import file. You can't just say, right, here's a list of descriptions of nominal codes. I want you to allocate a number to each of them. It won't do that for you. Right, now I'm just going to pick on the duplicate option very quickly. So if I highlight that one, I would just create it. I'm going to click duplicate. And as you can see, it doesn't give me a lot of advantage why it's not very well used in this area. It's still asking me what number I want to use. And it actually says duplicate of, and then in brackets, it'll say whatever the description was of the one I had highlighted. So I can amend all of that if required. But I want to pick up on setting up a new bank account. Now, by default, your bank accounts, if we go into that list, they're in the 1200 region. Now, it's quite common that some people say, well, I need to create a new bank account, but actually I'm going to do it within the nominal codes window. So I'll go in and I'll think, right, well, I'm going to set up nominal 1201, and I'm going to call it bank account. I'll just put my initials on the end, and then I'll save that. Now, if I close out of that screen and go up to 1201, so we can see it there. So it's listed in my nominal codes list. However, If I go into bank accounts, you'll see it's not there. Even if I click refresh to reread the list, it's not there. And it's because I've just set that up as a bank record, sorry, a nominal record, which means if I go to try and do things like, let's say, a bank payment, I'm not going to be able to select it. This just gives me the bank accounts list. What I should have done is I should have come into the bank accounts area and click new. I'll do another brand new one. And we'll just call it 1202. Call it bank account Laura. Just do one. And then we'll save that. And if we set that account up at new nominal within the bank screen and save it, you'll see that that one is now listed. So that's set up as a bank record within my bank accounts ledger. Still also within the nominal codes list, but it's identified as a bank account. Now this one that I have set up already, this 1201, because I haven't entered anything against that one yet, I haven't got any transactions entered, what I can do, good little trick this one, is to go into bank accounts, bring up a blank record, and if I type that number in, as I tab out of that one, I'll get a message. And it just tells me a nominal account with this reference already exists. Do you wish to convert it to a bank account? Now I'll only get that if I haven't entered any activity against that account so far. If I have, it'll just say, you can't do this. This account's already in use. So got the message. I do want to convert it. It should be a bank record. Click yes, and then I just need to remember to save it. When I do that, close out of the blank record, and that's now listed. So that's the only thing to really watch out for, that little trick when you are creating new records. Give it the right number, so it groups in the right way. And if it is a bank record, make sure you do that within bank accounts, just to avoid that little issue there. Now, we have created a nominal code, and you think, right, well, actually, I've watched the webinar, and I think I've created a sales nominal code. Should be in the 4,000 range. I've created mine in the, let's say, the 6,000 range. That sort of situation, you've got probably two options. One, you create a new nominal code with the correct number that you should be using. You've then got your two options. One is to edit the transactions that you've posted to the original code that you used. So edit each of those in turn to transfer them across essentially to the new nominal code. May or may not be possible depending on the status of that transaction. If you can, that makes it nice and easy. The other is to do a journal to essentially transfer that balance across. You'll not be transferring the history, but you will be transferring the balance across. You just do a basic journal. Hope that makes sense. Right, quickly popping back to the slides. We're going to next look at the nominal record itself. So once you've set up a record, you've got a number of options within there. So you've got 4 options down the left-hand side, so 4 tabs essentially. Details, which shows you your nominal details, so things like the code, the description. It'll show you the balance on the account at the moment, the account type. And you'll also have transaction, summary information as well for your actuals, your budgets, and potentially prior year figures. Your memo gives you access to the document manager option. So if you want to attach documents to your nominal code, you can do that. You can also record manual notes as well. So you got like a text-based field, which you'll find against virtually every record you can enter. You'll just be able to record notes against that. Again, not massively used for the nominal codes area. Activity, It's going to show you the transactions that have been posted to that account. And then finally, you've got the graph option as well. Now, one thing to watch out for to get started, I think when you first go into a nominal record, if you click on graph, you'll find it's just a blank screen. So to get started, you click options at the top and you choose what information you want to display. So I'll go back to the my desktop and we'll quickly have a look at these. Right, so let's go back to a nominal code. We'll pick on 4,000. I'll just quickly scroll down. I'll just double click it to get into it. So this is the details tab. Now you may or may not have extra information. So you might actually have a budgets column. You will not see the budgets column for one of two reasons. One is that you're set up for the advanced budgeting methods, or one of the three advanced budgeting methods that you can specify. The other is, again, similar to what we're doing when we hid the option on the toolbar earlier. You can right click on your toolbar along on your column headings, I should say, along the top, and you can choose what is it you want to show or hide. So if I don't want to see prior year figures, I can just say switch it off. Just see the months of my financial year and the actual figures for that. So budgets could be switched off. The other reason why it's not there, as I say, is if you've got one of the advanced methods, or one of the advanced budgeting methods enabled. Your memo tab, so the top section here, not available in the essentials level of the software. It's what we would term the document manager option. You'll find it in customers, suppliers, products, etc. And this is where you can attach additional documents. Your bottom section is just your, essentially your, almost like a notepad file, so your basic text information. So if you want to record any notes against it, you can do that. Again, you would just save it and it would hold that. Your activity is where you can see your list of transactions. So you've got things like the what you term the audit trail number, your transaction type, the date, the reference, extra reference. So it's got all that information in there, and you can filter it a little bit as well if required. So you might want to apply a date range, for instance. You can do a custom range. Just depends what you're after. Obviously, when you do a custom range, this is what you're going to get. It will pick up everything by default, but for instance, you might only want to see certain transaction types. You might only want to see which transactions of those are listed which are outstanding still, or you might want to apply a date range, transaction number range. It's up to you. You might just want to see, for instance, the transactions from your current financial year or the last financial month, if you're doing month end, that type of thing. And then finally, you've got that graph tab. So as I mentioned, by default, you're going to see this sort of blank screen. So you just click options. It'll ask you, right, what is it you want to show? Budgets on mine is grayed out because again, I'm set up for one of the advanced methods. So I don't have budgets available to select. But I might say, right, I want to display my actuals and the prior year. It'll then give me the appropriate graph. Now you can't combine graphs, it is single nominal code only. That's something we've been asked about in the past. If you need graphs on combined areas, things like the business dashboard that you've got available within your software, Copilot would give you summary information as well. Just really depends what you are after. But within the nominal record, you're looking at a graph based on that one nominal record only. Now that just about brings us to the end of today's session. So if you've got any final questions, if you want to pop them into the submit them via the questions panel, we'll pick those up in just a moment. I see you've kept Laura quite busy. Remember, there is an option to download the handout, and the follow-up email will be with you in around about an hour's time. So that will include a link to today's recording, a link so you can register for all those upcoming sessions, including the chart of accounts. Some of you had lots of questions about that this afternoon. Come along to that webinar, and also so you can access our previous recordings as well. Just for on quickly to mention some of the other resources you've got available. You've got access to the Community Hub. Our Community Hub is our online forum for Sage 50 accounts. Cover obviously all the other Sage software as well, but there is a specific area dedicated to Sage 50 accounts users. You can share knowledge, swap ideas, solve problems. Doesn't necessarily have to be about your software. It could be about business issues. You can ask for advice. You can offer advice. So it's all about that community spirit. It's free to join. If you want to sign up, just head along to communityhub.sage.com. So you will need to set yourself up with a log on, pretty much instant, and then you'll be able to get involved. So we'll have a look through the options, pop your posts in, and also offer advice if required. Right, brings us to the end of today's session. I'm going to have a look through the questions in just a moment, just to see if there's anything outstanding. But let me quickly thank you for attending. Hope you've enjoyed it. For some of you, it will have been very basic. You think, well, I know all of that, but maybe just a little bit of reassurance that what you were understanding was correct. For others, very new to Sage, maybe still, might it be a little bit of an eye opener? Maybe you've learned something here and there as well. But again, do come to the follow-up sessions to really develop that knowledge further. If you can take a minute to complete the survey, it'd be greatly appreciated. It should take you about a minute max. It should just pop up as you leave. So let us know what you thought of the session, how we could, if you've got any thoughts, ideas about topics you'd like to see covered, or how we could improve the webinar service, pop it on there. That follow-up email will be with you in around about a minute's time. Now let's just see if we have anything outstanding. So Natalie, you mentioned there, so interesting question, this one from Natalie. So Natalie says she's inherited a nominal structure that over the years has been added to significantly. So it can become a bit disjointed. So your predecessors, you've taken over on the role, maybe because of the nominal structure in the chart of accounts or whatever. Maybe they didn't understand the nominal structure. And so nominal codes are literally all over the place. Now, the best time to try and sort that out is once you've hit a year end. If you're approaching year end, I would say to you, just stick with what you're doing for the time being. And then you come back to maybe start fixing things like that and sorting things out going forward once you've completed that year end. So that can sometimes involve setting up new nominal codes at that point. Then maybe, again, any new transactions for what will be a new financial year, making sure that they're posted against those new nominal codes. It may be a case that you edit them, change them, swap them across. So it may be a case that you post journals just to journal the balance across from one nominal code to the new one that you do want to use. So it can be a little bit of almost like a mini project to run through at times. It depends how bad that is and how you want to restructure. If you need to discuss that, or do get in touch with our support team, Natalie, and they'll be able to have a quick chat with you about that. Maybe come up with some sort of plan with you as to what you need to change. Just a similar question from Caroline as well. If a nominal code has been set up previously, can this be changed to place it within the correct range? No, is the answer to that one. So let me give you a quick example. We'll do one quick example because this is quite a common situation that you might find yourself in. So share the right screen. Here we go. So let's just pick on this one. Let's say this should have been a purchase account, this one, 4001. Now, I'll quickly pop a transaction against it as well. So we'll do a bank payment. And we'll put it against that nominal code. At 40,001, I'll just say purchase. We'll just do £100 just as an example. So this one here, we're posting it to that nominal code that, let's say, it was set up. And it was set up as that in error. So we're going back to the nominal code list. And we've now got a balance against that. Now, let's say this is a purchaser's nominal code. So what we can't do is we can't go into this one and say, right, this should have been in the, let's say, the 5,000 range. So we can't just go in and change that. We start typing, and let's say it should have been, let's say we look and think, actually, it should have been 5,004. As soon as we change that and tab out of that field, because it's a new record, it actually comes up new account. So it's not letting me change that. What it is doing, it's saying, right, this code that you've just typed in, it doesn't exist. So you want to set up a new one. I could give it a new description if I wanted to. I'll just call it that, save it. But I'm in pretty much the same position as I was, other than I've now got a new nominal code set up. Scroll down a bit so we can see it. So we got that one. Now in this sort of scenario, that £100 is still posted against that nominal code. So if I wanted to move it across, depends on the situation, of course. You may or may not be able to do this. But if I go into the activity, it's going to list that transaction. I can highlight it. I could edit it. Bring up the edit screen for me. And if I've got the right line selected at the bottom there, so if I click edit, and at that point, that's when I could maybe move it across. Close that. And then save the changes. So yes to that. So that transaction, essentially, it's still there in the background, but it's now flagged as being essentially being deleted. But what we've now got is we've got no balance against this account. Against 5,004, I've got that balance there from the transaction that I've just moved across. So it could be a case that you do that. You edit all your transactions individually. You move them across. If you aren't in that position, then you're probably going to have to post a journal. And again, that's where our support team could help you with that if needed. So there's a few different options. It just depends on your scenario. But if you need any support, get in touch with our support team. Right, I think we're just about ready to end the webinar just at that point. So once again, many thanks for coming along. Hopefully I'll see you on the other sessions really soon. So chart of accounts is, I think it was Tuesday next week. So get yourself signed up for that one if you haven't already. But do complete that survey as you leave. It should take you a minute max. And hopefully I'll see you on some other sessions very, very soon. Many thanks.